Thank you.
Everyone's treated fairly now. You only get one word though.
That's fine. Best for last.
Sure you don't want to be first? Okay.
Way to copy everyone else's answers.
You can go through everything on the list and
Oh, they got it already, huh? Talk about it. Call the regular council meeting to order this October 2nd, 2018 at 7 p.m. in City Hall. Additions to the agenda, appropriation ordinance 10-2-18 AP2 in the amount of $10,144.21. Hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Carries 4-0. Citizens' comments this evening.
I have heard
Is that where I talk?
No, we have you in another section, so. Any
All
other-
right.
Any other citizens' comments? Nope. Right? Anything? Okay. Consent agenda, approved minutes, regular council meeting September 18th, 2018. Appropriation ordinances 10-2-18 in the amount of $103,461.27 and 10-2-18 AP2 in the amount of $10,144.21. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Bryant and Christie, any other discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Carries 4-0. Department head committee reports, Grant Administrator Lisa Cornwell.
I haven't heard from her in a while.
Okay.
We got I think I told you guys last time, we got the park benches are right there. She's been talking with Jim, well, I don't know if they've been talking, but the crosswalk guard project, we have all of the stuff. We just need to find a time to get together and see if that's gonna move forward. I don't know if that's something that she had been working on before I got here, or if that's part of the Safe Routes to School Phase 1. It might be that, but, so that's what we'll be working on with her. And we're still going forward with the playground equipment for Brown Park, so.
Anything for Lisa? Okay, moving on, Police Chief Jim Cadet.
Just a couple things. We're still moving forward, trying to do interviews and stuff. We've got one scheduled for tomorrow afternoon. It's just been busy trying to play catch up still and moving forward. Everything's going good. Really, that's all I got for right now. Except for, at this time, I would like Sergeant Elliott to come forward.
Did I do something wrong?
Yes. I wanted to do a letter of accommodation to Sergeant Bill Elliott for the hard work he's done over the last 2.5 months. I want to recognize Sergeant Bill Elliott of the St. John Police Department for the outstanding job he has done since becoming sergeant for this agency. Bill has worked an unbelievable number of hours running the day-to-day operation of this agency, keeping law and order in the city, and protecting the citizens of the city, in addition to the citizens who visit this fine community. This acts as a normal day-to-day job requirement of any police officer for the St. John Police Department, but due to the fact that Bill has done this entirely by himself for the last 2.5 months, is an incredible act of selflessness and commitment to serve the city and all the citizens that live here and visit the city of St. John. Bill is an outstanding law enforcement officer. He has the drive, the commitment, and dedication that all law enforcement officers should strive to achieve. The citizens of this city can be proud of Bill Elliott and trust him to do what is right for them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Most officers that I know would have just simply given up and gone somewhere else to work under the conditions. That would have been the easy way out, but Bill stayed true to his oath and word and continued to protect and serve the community. Again, this agency, city, community owe Bill Elliott a great deal of respect and gratitude for the excellent job he has done and continues to do. I cannot thank him enough for the outstanding job he has done and continues to do. Again, thank you, Bill, for the outstanding job you've done and continue to do.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Super. That's all I got.
Anything for Jim?
I've heard a lot of good comments about you guys all over town.
Dispatch 132.
Taking care of stuff, being prompt with it, doing a good job. So I just want to, both of you, express, Bill.
132.
You're welcome.
Well, thank you very much, and that's what we're striving to continue to improve day to day and get better.
Absolutely.
That's why I'm picky about who we hire, that way the next person does the same thing as what we're continuing to do for the community.
Absolutely. Thanks, Chief. Moving on, Fire Chief Michael Sanders. Anything for him?
No, I haven't heard from him for a while.
No news is good news.
Welfare check.
Anything for the Fire Chief? Okay, moving on, City Clerk Jamie Getty.
Just a reminder, if we have training November 3rd from 8 to noon, do we need to call a special meeting? So Dakota and I,
You're in a quorum.
yeah. So we'll get that done before, we'll do that, we'll do that next meeting or something.
Okay.
But November 3rd, 8 to noon is the set date. I'm gonna be getting with Wichita State to kind of go over just different things and have her fill me in on what's gonna happen. She said there's a couple different ways that we can go with it, so we'll figure out the best avenue to go on that, and then
Making sure it's good use of our time,
mhm.
the material cover.
And then from that, the department heads and I will sit down with our staff and have maybe not a training, but we need to go over the new handbook that's going to be coming into effect. And I think that I can speak for all of us, the meeting of the minds and getting back on the same page for all departments and working as a team would be beneficial right now. So
Absolutely.
the other thing is with the delinquent accounts. I did some digging back in 2009, and I can't find it being repealed again, but they have an ordinance where the fee is charged at 25% if it's sent to set off for collections. It's not company specific. So the downfall of using this company is that we will have to eat 5% of what, not eat it, but we'll have to pay 5% of what is collected. But if we do move forward with this company, we can change the ordinance to say the 30, but we can't go back and say our fee's now 30%. You owe us 30% on top of what you owe. So what has
But
whatever
everything that comes forward after that will then apply
Correct.
like that. Okay. All the
So-
current accounts would be then
Right.
assessed at the 25.
Do you have a signed copy of that ordinance though?
Yeah, it's in the book. I can't find it online, so I went to the paper. Still trying to find it in the actual code, but there's an actual signed copy in the ordinance book. I talked to John a little bit after council meeting last time, and for like the fee, what he was talking about was more municipal court stuff, so I really think that this would be a beneficial avenue to take, because we're still looking at like $40,000 of accounts that have been sent to set off, and we've collected maybe $1,000 in the last, I don't know how many. I mean, we don't get very much money at all. So adding this company will help increase, and basically they're gonna go bug the people and say, hey, you owe us money, on top of it being at set off. Because when you send it to set off, it goes in like an order, and you may or may not ever get your money. So, and I know you guys said to proceed, but John and I needed to talk about that and bring it back. So I think I can sign, I can sign with the company. I just need a for sure okay with you guys. And the next council meeting will change the ordinance to go to 30% for the collection fee.
Right now, we don't have a collection agency working on it at all, right?
We have the Kansas Set Off program.
Okay.
It
And that,
requires that they pay taxes, and that they have a tax refund, and that they don't owe a bunch of child support.
Yeah, because and it goes in private, I think, yeah, I think
Below the line.
it
Yeah,
just.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if there's anything like that over, you guys get.
And there's still, once we go through this list, I think I'll still come back and, with an amount to write off, like, just write completely off. Cause there's some of these that are deceased and stuff like that, but I didn't wanna do any of that until I got into contact with the guy, just to make sure that we can't do, just so he can look it all over before we're writing things off that we shouldn't write off.
Yeah, if they're deceased and it's been more than 4 months, then there's no estate you can get anything from at that point anyways.
I'm just a little nervous with the, like, cause I found one that's on here that shouldn't be on here and that I for sure know of, so I want him to look at what can be written off or not. I don't really have anything else besides look at your community connection this month because there's a lot of information, a lot of stuff going on. So, if you guys want to participate in Trunk or Treat, the girls and I would be very willing to come up with a theme for 6 people and decorate your trunk for you. Just so you know.
Sounds like crickets.
I don't have a trunk.
Can we set some cattle panels up around our trunk?
Yeah, you can park over there.
Oh, are you being
For
serious?
Yeah, I was being serious.
I'm cleaning up the trunk of the cop car for you guys. Use it.
I'm okay.
Gotta decorate
I'm
your
okay
truck.
doing something, but it'd be nice to know what.
Oh, you would be good. Okay.
Want some glow sticks, boys.
We have
I know,
those.
but they got kids to take out that day. I gotta take Weston out at some point.
Yep,
So,
Oh, I can help with something.
I'll be proud.
that's all I have, I think.
Did you need a consensus on the collections, or what were you wanting at this point from us?
Well, the contract's going to be signed by the mayor, right?
I don't think so.
Assuming there's a contract.
Then, yeah.
I think just a vote to give him authority to enter into the agreement.
A vote for,
Motion.
I think that 25% is adequate. If that's what it's been.
Well, right now it'll have to, like, whatever has been accumulated has to stay at the 25%, but then next council meeting I'll have the ordinance ready to go. I mean, I guess I could do it now.
Yeah, I mean, sure, I guess there could be a motion to amend the existing ordinance to increase it to 30%.
I mean, I don't know. I was kind of thinking 25% is probably what.
Well, right, but the company,
Takes 5%.
well, it charges 30%. It tacks on 30% of the collected amount.
30%.
And that's where the 5% comes in.
Okay.
Because we can't just raise it 5% and say, well,
And I can't remember, but in their formula though, on how that, do they take 30% off the top, or do they collect the city's part first and then collect their fee as in like a 30?
I'd have to look at
Because
the
doesn't it say that
documents,
some,
yeah.
but they don't remit the entire thing on a monthly basis, they,
Try to get payments.
I can't remember how that was
I'd
going.
have to look at those papers again.
Would be nice to know exactly how it works before we went up ahead with it.
Do you have a copy of that contract? Can we look at it real quick and we'll just come back to it here in a minute?
Jamie, what else from you other than that? Well, anything from Jamie at this time?
Just something that Jamie and I discussed here the other day regarding the agenda. It's come to my attention that some members of council have requested this be delayed in posting to the public until they get a chance to read everything that's in the packet. While I understand that that's what all of us have to do because we all have other jobs and other lives that we have to take care of, it does go against Code of Procedure 1-211, subparagraph, let's see, Section C, subparagraph 1, where it clearly states that once the agenda is made, it is presented to the governing body, and it is therefore needs to be presented to the public at the same time. So while we all don't get a chance to look at it right away, we need to, as soon as that is published to us, it needs to get put out to the public. So just wanted to bring that up.
It doesn't get published until I see it, so.
They're published on-
Right, well, here's the deal, is we don't have to post it in 15 different locations, as long as we have the front door of City Hall posted by the time it's done, and it's fine. Or
Usually you guys
putting
used
it
to
on
give one to the
Facebook.
press or something, and so it's really, if you have like I don't know if there's an
I
email.
send it, yeah, there's like 3 people on the email.
Yeah, you just
And
can't
that's actually how
exclude
it's
somebody
supposed to
for
be
one
set
of
up,
the-
is they're supposed to come in and fill out a form to get notifications of the agenda. But we go above and beyond to help everyone out, and we post it on the website, the front door, Facebook, where have you.
Right.
This might go with that, Joan. I'm not sure.
That's just a separate page, the first one.
So all those extra things are service, so as long as it's on the door by the time it's printed, I'm okay with it, and that's what I instructed Jamie to do.
And I
Unless
just-
council wanted to change, unless council wanted to change that, council could change that.
And I've been waiting to post it on the website and Facebook until Monday morning, to give you guys a chance to look it over, because of, I don't remember the issue, you guys were getting bombarded with stuff before you even knew about it. So it was posted, it was sent via email. I just didn't do the extra steps until Monday. So-
Monday's a business day, so that's the only time you need to post it. You don't need to post it on the weekend. First business day.
Well, the whole thing that brought this all up is the reason, when I got it through the email, I went and put it on the SSC TV
On Facebook.
Facebook. And that's that brought the whole issue up. So as far as,
Jamie's job?
yep, but it's still news. It's a public service announcement, and the people still need to understand that this is what's going on. This agenda is a public information.
Sure.
So I'm going to still continue to post it on the SSC TV's on Facebook page, and I'm within my rights to do so.
Sure.
Doesn't make heads or tails to me. I don't.
I just
I'll do
continue,
whatever you need me to do.
continue as it's written, and make sure that when it's sent out,
So I
that
don't
it's
have to
put on the
post
door.
it anywhere?
Put it on the door.
Okay.
If you'd like to put it on Facebook, you are more than welcome to. I really don't care what time, when. It could be at midnight on Saturday, whatever, as long as it's on the door. Once it is sent out to everyone, that's great for me. And that's as the book says.
I'm gonna write that down.
That's what the code book says.
You're not gonna have any hair left by the time you get through with this job.
That's for sure.
Can I talk about this for a second?
Yes.
Okay, so interest, so they get a judgment against somebody and there's like statutory interest, which in Kansas is almost 6%. The agency will keep all of that interest. Right now, you guys aren't getting anything anyways. They do, so they have got this, it's not really a funky provision, but what they're going to do is they're going to send the money here. You'll apply it to the individual accounts, so Jamie will continue to keep client accounts updated, and then make those reports back to the agency, so the agency is aware of where everybody sits on how much they owe. And then you are to remit back to the agency any amount due to the agency within 30 days. So you'll get all of the money, and then you'll have to remit. So I'm assuming the way this is read, that you'll get like an invoice that says, here's the full amount, this is how much is owed to us, but you attribute the full amount to the individual client's account. and then remit back to them what's owed to them. And the collection goes up to 50% if it's out of state. You probably got a bunch of those people that are gone, they're out of state.
Council?
The 30%, so you're, if you guys, if somebody owes $100 and there's a 30% collection fee, now they owe $130, the agency is gonna take 30% of $130, and they're not gonna take 30%, they're not gonna take the $30. That's how that'll work, and that's really the only way you can do it, because they're not gonna collect $130 at the time. They're gonna collect $15 every paycheck from that person for however long it takes to pay it off.
I'm good with it.
Yeah, my thought is you're not gonna collect.
So collect 39% instead of 30.
I think,
Work it up.
I think the maximum that they can pass on, that we can pass on is 30%.
If you collect anything, it's better than what we've collected up to date,
Right.
which is nothing.
Yeah, and I'm not sure you want Jamie turned into a collection. I mean, collection
Yeah,
agencies have all kinds of rules and laws they have to follow.
So I'm fine with
Do I need a consensus or a motion?
Who needs, somebody needs that authority to sign it. Klein, I think the mayor has to sign, so I think there's
If
three
there's
of them.
no change, you wouldn't need a motion.
Well, it is a change because that's a new company that we're going with.
I think you just have to have, you have to have a motion to give the mayor authority to enter into the agreement.
So moved.
second.
Motion and a second. Dorn, Sanders, any other discussion? All in favor? All opposed?
And
Carries
am I
5-0.
directed to prepare an ordinance updating the one from 2009?
Yes.
Okay.
Anything else?
Ordinance 989.
You can just go.
I didn't know if you needed anything else on that.
I don't think so.
Okay. Moving on, City Superintendent Jeff Williamson.
Just a couple of things. One is the bucket truck's done. They're supposed to pick it up tomorrow. I got called this afternoon. Amazing, isn't it? 30 days. So, anyway, we'll go get it in the morning. Other thing is that here a while back, I don't remember whether I told you guys or I didn't, that we'd been having trouble with the street sweeper. And the sweeper been down, and I called Sellers in Wichita, which are the people that we bought it from originally. And he told me he was pretty sure he knew what was wrong with it, except they sold out to Barry, and as of last Friday, they're now Barry Equipment. So the Barry Equipment mechanic came out, which he's been here before, worked on our grader and stuff. He did kind of an extensive search on it, and there is a shaft that is has no teeth left on it on the hydrostat. In fact, he had it split apart and showed me exactly where it was. It's not a major deal, but I told him to go ahead and fix it. So doesn't run without it. I mean, it'll move, but it won't sweep. It won't do nothing. So I don't expect the bill to be very high. I don't know what very high is, but I think it'll be reasonable. It's easy to get to, you know. So, but we'll hold our breath anyway. So anyway, that's really all I got.
Was there a figure on the bucket truck?
He didn't say.
Okay.
We gotta take that little excavator back in the morning. I don't know whether I'll be coming back in after I see the bill or not. I might have to retire, so. But
What
it's
do you guys-
done either way.
What are you guys working on over here? Is that
We're doing this at the request of the girls in the office, so.
cleaning it up? It looks like
We've
bush
taken,
yanking.
we've taken all the broken concrete out around the flower beds.
Mhm.
We've removed all the bushes. We've removed all the rose bushes. We're gonna go back in with flowers and some new edging around the fountain and water in the flower beds and moving some sprinklers around and just a few odds and ends. We thought if we'd skin it up this time of year, it'd be healed by spring, so this was the best time to do it. So
Oh,
a
yeah.
new look out there. We think, you know, that the same old picture for so long, this corner over here was getting pretty rough looking. And so we just thought it was time to just go in and clean it up. So anyway, we're not gonna get to use a little, I had the excavator for a week. It's supposed to rain for the next 6 days. We're gonna take it back. If we need it again, we'll go get it. It's about $500 for a week. It's been well worth every dime of it, so. But,
Way better than a shovel.
uh,
Way better than a shovel.
oh, way better than a shovel. We've hauled a lot of stuff out there. I mean, a lot of
Looks
stuff.
good, Jeff.
Looks really good.
But we're hoping that everything that we do is improvement now, you know, and we've had a lot of good comments about it from people. I do want to talk to Warren Brothers about blasting the lamp posts and the fountain again. I'm gonna stop tomorrow if I got time and talk to the guy that powder coats down on the south end of Great Bend. I really would like to powder coat that fountain. I think it's a long-term solution. Fountain's pretty feeble. So we get it blasted down and look at it and see, we did take it apart about 20 years ago. That's the last time it's been apart. It's been painted there once since then. But, you know, it would be a solution that would never have to be touched again if it's done right. So I'd like to put some costs together on that in the lamp posts and clean them up. I mean, they're old and we handle them with kid gloves, but still, if we don't think we can tear it apart without damaging it, we won't. We'll just have it painted in place. But talked to Trent Salee a couple of times during the summer. Sometime this winter, we're going to repair the bowl on that fountain. That bowl's in getting in really bad shape too. But we haven't been able to get together on a time to do it yet. But just some updates that we think probably needed to be done. We want to do something with some picnic tables over there and some benches, and so, you know, if nobody squeals too loud, we're probably going to do some improvements. Maybe to the betterment of the whole community, something that's usable. Maybe we'll get used more. We'd like to put some cement in a few places where the picnic tables go, so that they don't get drug all over there anymore. And then we can mow around them, and they'll last a whole lot longer. They don't get torn up by getting drug around. And some benches in a few places. Maybe some of these benches and some others, so we'll kind of see. But the girls are the one that started this. They just said, you know, it just looks bad. We need to do something. And so they wanted my permission. I said, you don't need my permission, but I'll be glad to do it. You just tell me what you want done. So we've been working together pretty close. The girls have been over and helped us a couple of days. I mean, we haven't done it all by ourselves. So anyway, but as we get time, we're working on it. We've got some line work to do, but we're kind of putting it off until we can get the equipment we need to pull the wire in. The stuff that we're going to pull in west of the rest home, we need a special set of pullers in order to do it. Hoisington has some. They're using theirs right now. They own them, and they've offered to let us use them as soon as they come available. So grocery store stuff's all done. That's about all I got. The survey's done. I talked to the surveyor today, and there's some strange layout out on 5th Street, but he did what he was hired to do. So anyway, that's all I've got.
Anything else for Jeff?
Just a comment. Jeff, I just wanted to say thank you for once again allowing community-based training to job shadow. My student really enjoys coming over and learning everything that all you guys have to teach him. So thank you very much.
It's been a lot of fun with him, and I hope before the winter's over we can teach him a little bit more, you know.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, thank you.
Jeff, is there any idea on the street sweeper repair on how much it will cost? I mean,
I don't have a clue, because, see, with them trading over to Barry, he didn't even know what the parts cost. They're trying to shuffle all this stuff around. I can't tell you. I'm gonna guess a couple $1,000, you know. I don't think it's gonna be real extreme, but still, you know, by the time he comes out and does it, we've got it opened up for him. He's been in there, and it's underneath the hopper is where it's at, so. But he had it spread apart, so it didn't look like it was a major type deal that would be too long. I hope, you know. If not, I guess we'll put it up for sale when we get done. I don't know.
just thought maybe it was just wear and tear.
It's just, yeah, I mean, it's 15, 16 years old, you know. This is the first time we've ever had any trouble with it. So, but it's just a weak spot in the hydrostat, is what it is. And it's been kicked off and on a million times, you know, so. I can't really say. I wish I could tell you, but I don't know, right? I really don't.
Just another question of there's been digging up in the street up on 9th Street. Is that just water line repair? Is that what?
Yeah, we had 2 leaks up there north of Donny Pounds,
Yeah.
and what we come up with is we laid a 4-inch line in there in the 90s that went west to West Street and then north clear up to Steve Frank's, laying parallel to it, about 3-4 feet apart. There's a 2-inch steel line that ran into the street, which is where the leaks first started showing up. Well, on 2 different occasions, when they built up in that area, the water line went north, plastic up to, from 9th Street north. And then as houses got built from Mark Green's going south, why then they extended that line south, but they tapped it in 2 different places. And so we're gonna tie all that over on that 4-inch line, and we're gonna cut that steel clear off, clear back at the corner. Cause it's just paper thin. I mean, you can just stick your finger through it, but we're waiting on some parts. So as soon as they get here, we're gonna tie the taps on that. Then we gotta re-tap the house clear on the west end where Aaron Maherter lives. It's still on the old line, and we're gonna cut the rest of it off. But we're just, in fact, the gal was by yesterday, the parts are on order. As soon as the taps come, we'll do it. So, should be in the next week, I hope. We'll get it covered up, so. Just another case of do it cheap and get it done, you know, and that's kind of the way it went. I mean,
I was just curious. I hadn't caught one of you guys to ask you just.
yeah. It leaked for a little while before we caught it, and then when we dug it up, we found 2 spots within about 3 feet that were just clear gone and leaking, so we clamped them for now, but they're still seeping. But we wanted to get that cut off now as soon as we can, get it tight over on that plastic, so. Anyway,
Thank you, Jeff. Moving on, City Attorney John Beverland.
Don't really have anything to add.
Anything for John? Okay, moving on to me. There's been a little bit of, I don't know what to call it, but I just wanted to bring it up. As far as employees go, I know we all talk to employees on a daily basis, which is a great thing, and that's within everybody's rights to do. But I would just ask that you remember, everybody remember, whether it's us or our employees and everybody, to follow their chain of command, because I know it's caused some tension and some issues. So just be courteous of that, and remember, go talk to them, see what's going on, find things out. But if you'd like something done, then this is the place when that needs to be taken care of. So appreciate you guys. That's all I have this evening.
Grocery store. Did you want to know that? For this, the grocery store opening?
Yes, I forgot about that. Grocery store opening will be on the 10th. I would certainly appreciate if everybody could make a little time to get out there and be a part of that. I think it's at 10 o'clock, 10 to noon. If you can just drop in and be there. I know they're probably going to have the ribbon cutting. I haven't gotten a whole lot of information from Carolyn Dunn. She had asked if I would be willing to be on the program to speak, and I said I would certainly be willing to do that if she wanted that. So I know they're going to be doing several different things. But this has been a big deal, so it'd be great if everybody could be there. If nothing from me, move on to old business. The road survey. Do we have anything else on that, Jeff?
no, as I said, it's done. We moved some stakes. If you go down Southwest Street, you see there's some stakes missing on that property at Cornwell's. We put some steel stakes in the ground so they could cut their feet down. We know where they're at. We're gonna stake them back, and then when we're ready to pull the ditch, well, we know exactly how far we can go. So we did that for the convenience of them. And we didn't want the feed in our ditch, so we just figured that it'd be better that we didn't have to roll it up with the dirt. So we went ahead and did some steel stakes down in the dirt. We'll locate them and we'll put the sticks back. So, as I said, out on 5th Street, there are some offsets, some kind of oddball looking offsets. Those were tracks when that was originally incorporated into the city, and so you'll see some strange, some stakes that look a little strange. I have notified the phone company that we have some phone pedestals that are out inside on the road side of the right-of-way. Should we decide to do anything on the drainage, they're going to have to be moved. So I did contact the phone man here's supervisor, and he was to pass it on to the engineer, and he was to get back with me. It's been over a week ago, I haven't heard anything back from him. If I don't hear in another week, I'm gonna call him. So, the street is very narrow. It's only a 40-foot right-of-way, so, been in contact with Chris, and we've discussed some things on what we think should be done out there. We wanna try and keep engineering out of it if we can to keep the cost down, should anything come of doing anything with the street, so. You know, as far as sewer manholes, things like that, we're gonna try and take care of as much of it ourselves as we can. If we have a grade, we know what we can do, so. And keep an engineering fee out of it, so that's the way we're gonna work it at this time. He told me as soon as he got a little time, we'll sit down and do some more talking, but that's kinda where we're at on that, so. Other than that, I guess that's about it.
So it looked like there was very much slope yet for,
He doesn't do slope,
They didn't-
Ryan, he only does
Just right away.
width is all, yeah. And depending on how far back you'd wanna go, whether you went 300 feet or you went 600 feet or where you go, that's gonna be dependent on what happens to the west also, cause we're gonna have to take in mind that anything that we leave open to drain in there, if we happen to close part of that up, that we've got to have it right, so that all that back to the west will drain, so. Anyway, that'll be something that we try to leave to a minimum in order to be able to catch that from the west. So we'll see what happens when Chris and I get together, so.
Moving on to dumpster. Do anything with it, let it die, take it off, what do you wanna do?
Take it off,
Everybody okay with that?
I think so.
put it on after the first of the year.
Do you want me to make a note and then?
No, I'll remember.
Okay. Property on West Street.
Is that me?
Uh-huh.
Okay. I don't know if anybody's been out there since Sunday, but my son-in-law and daughter went out on Sunday. It's all mowed. We leveled up dirt around the two existing concrete structures. We're leaving that structure there to set our new buildings on because it is still good. It's baby steps, but it's coming right along. And I think if you go out and look at it, you will agree with me that it has come a long way. And we're still just hammering at it.
Thoughts on the council?
I looked at it today, it looks, I mean, they've got all the rocks and loose stuff picked up and mowed up and trimmed up. I think it looks fine. I mean, there's progress on it.
Yeah,
I'm
there's some
fine with
progress.
it.
Drove by it myself this afternoon and saw that you had the pile over there, nice and neat, and then everything else was mowed up and clean, so yeah.
Yeah, that pile of concrete that's there, we're planning on using it. That's why it hasn't been trucked off.
Okay.
But, yeah, we're getting there. Like I said, with my income, it's baby steps, but baby steps build up into crawling and walking, and
Sure.
we'll be up and going as soon as I can get it there.
I drove by, it looks good. Appreciate taking care of that. Looks a lot better than it did before.
I have to give credit where credit is due.
And your
I'm in
grandson.
no mobile state to be doing that. So thank you very much.
Is council satisfied with the current state? Would be
I'm satisfied.
done?
Yes.
I'm fine.
You need motion, you need just consensus?
Consensus is fine.
I have consensus that everything's okay with that property? Jim? Okay. Thank you. Okay, moving on to truck snow routes.
It's been brought to our attention that we went over truck routes last year. We put up the signs, but there's no ordinance that was ever passed. So John sent over this ordinance a year ago, and I had forwarded it on to Jeff. And I tried to get a hold of Stafford to get their ordinance, because I thought that they had their truck and snow route together. So I was gonna try to look at that, but Jamie wasn't able to get her hands on the truck route. She sent over the snow route. But I provided in your packets the ordinance that John had sent over a year ago. But basically, to enforce the current truck route and snow route that we have signs all over town for, we need an ordinance to back that up. So I don't know if you want to use this one. Jeff really wanted to look at the one from Stafford, but like I said, I tried to get a hold of Jamie and she was going to do some digging, and I never heard back. So
What's the big deal with coming up with one if you just wrote one up? I mean, instead of waiting for another town's.
I like this
he
one.
wrote this one a year ago.
Well, who did?
John, yeah,
John.
yeah.
Last
This,
time it was talked about.
yeah.
Okay.
Jeff and
This
I.
is all just truck route though, the snow route's a different deal,
Right.
so.
John, question on this, as far as depending on what we put in, where the designation of those routes are, what about people who own, operate, or have one and park it at
I think that
home?
was one of the issues.
Will they be exempt, or what would,
I think Stafford has a 2-hour parking, right, Jeff?
If we
That's
can get a hold of the
what we
ordinance, that's the
Couldn't
way
get
I
a hold of the
understand it.
ordinance.
It's a 2-hour ordinance, parking ordinance, and they had to park somewhere else other than on the streets.
So it would change things.
And drive around town and see where trucks are parked and see their turnover streets.
There's some pretty bad areas.
There's some really
talked to
bad
Jeff
areas.
about it, and,
The last time we talked about this, it was just before harvest or something. That's why it came up.
right?
The big thing on where we've got the sign set right now is not the weight of the trucks on the street, it's the turning. The turning's what's tearing them up, and it's coming back onto First Street. I mean, you know, Ryan and I discussed this quite a little bit, Marshall and I've talked about it quite a bit too, that as long as these trucks are anymore, and especially with spread axle trailers, that when they turn them onto that fresh oil and fresh sand, and we've got any kind of temperature outside, it just cuts them like a knife. And I mean, it just, you know, and I think for the most part, you know, even though we've really we haven't had an ordinance for it, I think we've had pretty good amount of them have kind of followed the truck route signs. You know, we've tried to keep them off of Monroe and Pearl and Prairie Street coming from the elevator because of the turning back onto First Street, but I would say over 90% of them are using Broadway and coming, you know, up and down and turning there at First Street and coming back towards the highway. So I think we have helped some. I mean, you know, we've tried to not be too nasty about it, but you know, I don't know. I really think that there's going to be some of them that are going to push it to the point, unless we write them a ticket, they're not going to stop. And so.
Remind me, which streets are the truck routes that you have posted right now?
We have no trucks on Prairie, from the elevator north,
Right.
from Pearl, from First down to north of the Scale House, and from Monroe. So the first 3 blocks east of Broadway. So,
Okay, so we really haven't, we need to decide which streets are actually the truck routes.
and we've really just designated First Street right now at this point, you know, because, you know, 80% of the trucks that are coming into town, maybe more, are going straight to the elevator and back out. You know, I mean, we have some that are here in town that don't, but the majority of them are going straight to the elevator. And a lot of them come in from the south and turn around and go back out the south too, you know. But if we can just stop them in those 3 blocks, as far as weight of trucks at this point in time, you know, unless you do an ordinance that doesn't permit anything over 2 hours, why?
Right.
Or you want to completely eliminate no trucks except for delivery, you know.
I think the only thing on this one though, you need to look at what in in excess of 20,000 pounds.
That's a loaded 1-ton truck with a trailer.
Loaded 1-ton truck with a trailer.
It is, yes, sir, it is.
The empty semi would be 35.
What number do you want there?
Well, it just needs to be something. I mean, I load my tire truck down and drive through town, I'm overweight according to what you're saying right here. And I know Davis's, if they hook onto their big
Big
Dodge
trailer.
truck with a
Right.
trailer and a
Sure.
trencher on it, they're
Sure.
overweight.
Yeah,
I think we're more concerned about the 90,000, 95,000, 100,000 trucks instead of
yeah.
35,000 pound trucks.
Well, we have water trucks in and out of town all the time too, and they're not the ones that are doing it either.
Right.
I mean, you
I
know,
mean,
and they're 54,
Yeah.
or rated at 54, or set at 54,
It's legal loaded weight.
so.
It's 85.
Most of them would not be loaded.
Well,
though,
no, that's not
Oh,
true.
there's
because-
occasions where, you know, because they've loaded water, they'll
Well,
be
but the
through
state
town,
just
but.
allowed a special permit with third axle to carry 95,000,
Gotcha.
I believe, legally. I think you can get a permit now to legally haul 95.5, I believe, or something, if you have 3 axles on your trailer. But that's just been within the last 6 months, I think, that the state's allowed that.
Right.
So do
I'm
you guys
just,
wanna make changes to this ordinance, or do you wanna table it so you can think
well, I
about it?
think maybe we ought to see also compare it to Stafford's and do some
Yeah,
comparisons in
let's
there.
table it to get Stafford.
I mean, I think we need to,
I think we could look around and just, you know, the small towns in general, or say even to Pratt or Larned or whatever, you know, and get a consensus there of kind of what works for everybody else, I think. I think once you get them broke to it, you know, if it's the same way here as it is in Pratt, or it is in Great Bend, or it is in Larned,
I could even maybe,
pretty soon they're gonna figure it out, you know? So,
cause it might be shared already.
I
I
move
can-
we table it till we get
Yeah.
more information.
I can do
I'm
some
good
checking
with
on,
that.
on
the
the,
snow routes, you
City
know, a whole
clerk
nother deal just for blading snow, I mean, clearing, you know, we only designated so many blocks. Main, Broadway, First and Fourth for emergency vehicles, and that's really all that we designated for that, so.
But you guys are looking at wanting to do like a 2-hour minimum parking for any semi?
2-hour maximum,
Or that's what I
no
mean.
more than 2 hours, yes.
So I mean, what do we do? There's probably 15 semis parked around this whole town. Where they gotta go? I mean, there's guys that have a farm and stuff, but you guys gotta
No,
realize.
I get it. I mean, I realize why, you know, even if they have an empty property in town, they wanna park it next to their house, so they don't get stuff stolen, or they wanna plug it in at night so they can start their truck. I get it, I just, you know, we just need to look at some of the streets around town where they do park and the intersections they block. I mean, it's a problem, you know, whether they just need to be talked to, or, you know, we need to enforce something.
Or we figure out a place that we can leave to them so that they can park, you know, off-street.
At least
That has police, you know, I mean, you go to a lot of places, there's places designated for them to park. I mean, you go to Pratt, you won't get any trucks in Pratt, I know. So they have a lot to park them on, so.
I mean, you know, we're in a farming community and.
Yeah, you guys
know,
need to be careful. What
No, yeah.
I don't necessarily have a problem with them parking. I mean, there are quite a few that park that are empty, and empty is not near as bad as being fully loaded. And I think the ones that are tearing up the streets when they park are the ones that are loaded every time. You know, I have been looking and talking to some property owners closer to the center part of town that would be willing to sell property if the city decided that they wanted to put in a designated spot for trucks. Now, I'm not gonna say that it's ideal place, but I'm not gonna say it's probably more than 4, maybe 5 trucks would be able to fit in there.
I mean, but still, we'd have to provide electricity. I mean, you can't expect somebody to park there and start it when it's 10 degrees out.
providing
Right.
electricity is gonna be cheaper than.
But some of
repairing
these
the-
places that trucks are parking have maybe been parking there for a couple of years, and the streets
Toast.
toast.
No, and I'm okay with not having them parked on the street, but we need to have something to offer. You can't say you can't
Right,
park
that's
there
what
and
I'm
that's the
saying.
problem.
And that's what I'm saying, I don't know is, you know, an empty truck I'm probably not that concerned about, but if we give them a spot where when they're loaded, that they can pull off of our streets and not have to sit there, hours upon hours, all weekend long before they leave again on Monday, and give them something that's halfway secured and electricity, I'd be more than happy to eat the electricity that costs to keep
Well, it
them
wouldn't be
things
anything
warm
to
compared to what it costs us to fix the
drop a
streets.
pole and some lighting and make it
Sure.
look
But we
nice.
should at least offer that if we're gonna be looking
Right,
into
and I
that.
think if we do that, I think we need to get with the majority of the people that drive trucks and have a meeting with them.
Mhm.
Well,
It's
there's
something
something
that
to
needs
get
to be
their
looked
input
into because,
on it.
you know,
I'm perfectly fine with that, I just said I was getting at, we knew we had something to offer.
Right.
sure.
So
sure,
I think that's a
yeah,
good
yeah,
idea.
yeah.
City don't cover anything.
Yeah, when you sign a check for $35,000 to do a piece of street to fix it, you know, and that's going the cheap
Well, the
route,
thing is,
that's
is
still.
when you get it broke down by a semi and by that weight, it's not just taking out 6 inches and putting it back in. You're going a foot, 2 foot, because
Yeah.
it's tore it out bad.
Majority of the streets in town were started with road oil and sand, and I mean, there's a lot of the residential streets that aren't very thick. I mean, I saw a case of a trailer that went over down here in the south end of town a couple of years back. He tried to dolly down on the edge of the street. Street wasn't any thicker than that table. And he was loaded, and it rolled over. And it did horrible damage to the street. But, I'm just here to protect your money, and when I only get $60,000 or $70,000 a year to do road work, why, we have to be kind of careful about where we string it out, you know?
Right.
So,
Yeah, it's something we just need to look into. You know, it's, you know, that's for your profession, you know, have their truck somewhere close to their house, but it's concerning, so.
Yeah,
Okay.
so what do we figure out the snow route then?
Tabled until next meeting.
snow route's just to have your vehicles moved when we plow, that's the big thing, you know, because when we plow out.
So I don't know if I missed that or if that was last year, but so basically where the snow route's at, there's no vehicles to be parked on the edge of the road?
Exactly,
Okay.
yeah.
Which ones is that road?
First, Fourth, Main, and Broadway.
Okay.
We try to get to the school, get to the ambulance, you know, things like that. Downtown services. Just to get it cleared off, because a lot of times, you know, and you don't make friends doing it anyway, because when you plow it one way, then somebody's mad because you plowed it all on them, you know, I mean,
We'll try to send out,
we just roll it out, and we try and get a tractor behind it to clean up what we can, and the rest of it, I can't eat it, so we gotta do something with it.
we'll try to inform the public more.
Parking.
Jim, do you have something to add?
On the truck, just a suggestion of what we did several years back in Fredonia, and it seemed to curtail some of the problems. We allowed the truckers to park their trucks in their yards, but they had to drop their trailers off at, you know, a convenience store or something like that. And that saved our roads quite a bit once we started doing that. And the truckers were fine for the most part with that, because they were allowed to park at home, so they had the security there. We just didn't want them on the streets because they were doing the same situation, so.
I think it'd be a good idea to have somewhere to park their trailers, then we don't have to provide electricity or lighting. And then they take their truck, park it in their driveway and plug it in.
Right, and I'm not opposed to that. I mean, but if they're loaded, you're gonna have to put forth a little bit of money wherever they park their trailers if we offer them a spot.
Yeah.
I mean, some concrete and some pads, you know, at least for the dolly wheels,
Excess of
or
4
dolly
hours.
legs.
Yeah. Well, I know we hired you for something, Jim.
Just a suggestion, so.
Good idea.
Well, it's certainly a way to meet in the middle, because again, you're not.
Stafford's is over 36,000 pounds.
So again,
4
enough to
hour.
park the
4
truck in
hours.
there.
4 hour minimum.
For our max.
4 hour maximum.
They've got the big lot at the Ampride out there to park at, so, you know, all the truckers over there just park out there.
But they don't have any
They
electricity,
don't have any electricity.
and they just pull in their park.
Okay, moving on, Hudson Sewer.
You'd asked me to kind of figure out what we should do about charges if we went up and rotted a main sewer for them. And I sat down and kinda figured what I thought the truck was worth, and it usually always takes two guys when we go up there. And I figure if we did it by the foot, and we did it just off of the gauge wheel, off of what hose we put in the sewer, that about $1.60 a foot, that would come out to about $500 a block. You know, whether you're there an hour, you're there 3 hours. I mean, if you did it by the foot, that's the way you do it. But that way we could recover some cost. We might make a little bit of money on it and still help them out. I think probably is reasonable, or more reasonable than most anybody would. We're close, but I haven't discussed this with Brett. I haven't been able to get a hold of him. I was going to try and shake loose or not and catch him, but I've been a little busy, so. But, you know, it might make the city a little revenue, and still I think it's fair enough for them that, now they might want to rod the whole town one time. They might want to do it, you know, as needed. But the way we've done it in the past was we've done it by the hour. I think by the foot's probably a little more fair. And I think, you know, it would get us some compensation for what we do. So.
I mean, at the end of the day, we just make sure we're not coming in negative and pain, because I mean, with stuff, we got stuff breaking down left and right.
Well, I understand that, and that's the whole reason. I mean, if you're only charging them $50 an hour, who's making money?
Yeah.
You know, and that's kind of the way it's been to this point. And I would at least make it so we could justify going up there, because if we do break a truck down, we got to fix it.
I'm
But
just
still,
trusting you with whatever you come up with.
at $500 a block, I mean, we could make a little money at it if that truck does the way it's done in the past. You know, it would be mostly profit.
Who's gonna direct you when you're up there? I mean, are they gonna tell you where to go?
They've got a city guy up there.
Well, if they're directing you how to use the equipment, why don't we make them responsible for paying for breakdowns?
They don't direct us about where to use, just what's plugged up is all. I mean, that's all they tell us is, I mean, they don't tell us how to run the equipment,
They're
no.
not saying,
No,
you know,
my
try
guys,
harder, push harder.
no,
keep
my
going.
guys run the equipment the way they see fit. No, they just tell us where it's plugged. So,
Yeah. Well, as long as we're not losing money, here's
I mean, we've done it at Maxfield too, we've done it at Maxfield 2 or 3 times, and since we've gotten this truck has quite a bit more pressure than what that machine had. And we can run a bigger nozzle in there, and we usually clean it fairly quick, so. But, I don't know. I don't know what the right or wrong answer is, but I think that's probably fair. And if things went right, we could make a little money, and if they don't, why, we might break even, but, you know. We don't normally do it to hire out to make money at it, but we do it more as a just to help a fellow community, you know. If we have bucket truck trouble, we call Stafford, they come and help us, they don't charge us a dime. If we go over there, we don't charge them a dime, but I mean, sewer's a little bit different, you know? So,
Yep.
I don't know.
Everybody okay with that?
As long as the work's getting done at St. John, then I don't see a problem with it.
Okay. I'll talk to Brett.
Okay, moving on to water rights.
In your
I know-
packet.
Yeah, go ahead.
In your packet, you had Jim's draft of the letter, and then you also had the draft that the county commissioners will be sending, along with several different entities that are going to be signing on.
I think like school board and
Like,
different
I think even
organizations.
Pratt County, I think a couple other counties. It might be beneficial to, if you guys are willing to sign on with this, and then we can also send a separate one. But we were asked if we would like to sign on with this one. But we need to make a decision tonight. County commission meets tomorrow.
I don't have any problem with signing on the county commissioner's letter, except I think all entities should write their own.
Right.
And I say this because the more people that we get involved that find out about this, irrigators have no stroke in this deal. It's going to be the schools that have stroke, it's going to be the city that has some stroke, and county commissioners, it's gonna be our community and the people in them that have stroke. And a person told me today, or talked to me today about it, he said, if you put them in our bills coming out, sign the letter, from concerned citizen, sign it, we could turn them in and mail them if we'd set them out with our city bills. Get as many people in the community informed that know what we're doing. Don't be bashing Quivira. That's a no-win situation to bash Quivira. They have a water right, it's a valid water right. They are a viable natural resource. We'll get nowhere bashing Quivira. But if we can get some people on our side to possibly augment the water that's going into Quivira, it turns it into a win-win situation. But bashing them is not going to go anywhere. From Governor Rusinski or any of their representatives. The letter I wrote, and Jamie didn't put it in the packet, the one to DWR suggests that they continue to maintain the boundary of the Lima district as originally drafted. And that brings it, and the reason it doesn't go to this one that's in your packet is that these other people have no control over the Lima. The GMD5 has control over the Lima. And so if you make the Lima as large as possible, it goes down into where the surface drainage actually goes into the Nenasko on the south and the Ark on the north. But the subterranean water drainage comes in, a lot of it comes into the Rattlesnake. Maybe only 10%, but a portion of that will come towards the Rattlesnake. And is part of the Rattlesnake Basin. And when Jamie sent this over to Orrin, and he said, well, these other people can't do anything about the Lima, so we thought we'd leave the Lima part in our letter to GMD5, so we're supporting them, and then to Zinke, the governor, the representatives, to senators, Jackie McClaskey, etc. We just leave that portion out because they can't do anything, but they can perhaps influence the outcome of this. 4,000 acre feet of water is basically 25 circles. $4 million worth of gross sales versus 25 quarters of ground having basically $1 million in gross sales. So it's $3 million in gross sales, depending on whichever multiplier you use, 3 to 7. There's a lot of money that will not circulate within the boundaries, and the families that'll leave. There's a lot of young couples that I think about 8 that have kids in the school. They may not be here. Some of them won't survive. This has potential to devastate. Just go to Great Bend and drive west on Highway 96 to Scott City. And once you get past Nest City, until you get to Nest City, you don't see any activity. And that was an Iguga that David Pope, the chief engineer, imposed on the Walnut. And the banks, the schools, the communities folded up.
It's a desert.
It's desert.
Are you happy with this letter that you've drafted, Jim?
I am happy with this letter, if the council's happy.
I've read through both of them, and I think we ought to support the county as well.
I think we should support the county too.
I think we ought to send our own, but I think we ought to
I think we should send
support
our
the
own.
county as well. And I mean, even if the school had one or whatever, I would support them as well.
Yeah, and Josh and I talked about that. The school's going to write one, the county's writing one. I think all of us on the council, mayor, et cetera, should sign this one, the city officers. If you have a degree, put your letters behind your name. Give it some stroke.
I thought the letter that you wrote was really well written, Jim.
Thank you.
I think that I agree with Marshall. I think we need to.
I think we need to do both of them.
Exactly,
I do.
yes.
And the more the more noise we can make and make it supportive,
Right.
I think we'll gain some more. But I don't think we won't get anywhere bashing Quivira or jumping up and down screaming or anything like that.
Well, you're
But-
trying to fight with the federal government with Quivira. I mean, you're not gonna win that
Well, you're
battle.
not gonna win with the Audubon Society because their annual budget exceeds the entire net worth of Stafford County.
Yeah.
So I have a consensus that the council, as written, both of these letters are okay.
There's one more paragraph that will be added that just goes to GMD 5.
Yeah, to
And it's
GMD 5.
Right.
just about
Right.
the legal
Yeah.
stuff, so there will be 2 separate ones for you guys, but.
Yeah. Council okay with that?
I'm good with
Yeah,
that.
good with it. Good. Thanks for that, Jim.
Yeah, thanks, Jim.
Thank
Need
you.
a consensus?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'd be more than happy to sign all of them if that's what we need as well.
Mm-hmm.
So-
I guess that letter looks okay, John.
It's all right. People don't take my advice all the time. Gives me an opportunity to say I told you so. And
Leave it alone. Yeah, said it was okay.
You okay with it, John?
yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with it.
Okay, new business, no new business or executive session. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Wait, can I make an announcement? Just for,
Done in citizens' comments.
no, this has nothing to do with the city council, it's just an announcement that was on the news tonight. I'll do it after you adjourn if you want me to do that,
Sure.
that's fine.
Sure.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Carries 5-0. Meeting's
Okay, on the national news tonight,